yet?
Let's see if this works when we start.
I got a shiny head and a shiny nose.
Now that's going to get streamed. Yes, it's live now.
It's live now?
Yes.
Oh my God. What am I going to do? Okay. This is obviously a crazy thing, but we're just trying to see if we can get this thing running, and it's not 100%. So we're going to do something anyway. I tried to send an email out from Steven's house and it doesn't work. And so no one knows that we're here unless you happen to be, farting around and you find it. So what I want to do is I wanted to do a video showing how to build the cables, and that's what we're going to do. And since we're live streaming it, but
the link will be up.
We're recording it and we'll put it up later on. Okay.
Yeah, you can send out the link when you get home.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously when you built this kit, this is what it's going to look like. Okay. So whoops. So ordinarily you would plug in the 9-volt battery snap into those pins. These have been tinned, so you can plug them in the holes, but it's really, really flimsy. So what I do is I make a little connector. So let's see, where am I? Okay. So I take and just use a little 2-pin. Let's see if we can. Okay, there's a little 2-pin SIP plug. I plug the wires in and then I solder them. So now I can just sit there and plug this in like so, and voila, 9-volt battery. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you how to do this, and I included in the kit, I included some extra SIP sockets. There's a 6 and 4. So I'm going to get my handy dandy little guillotine cutters that I keep talking about because they're really nice. These are breakaway headers. There are little dimples between each pin to cut them. So I'm going to take the 4 and I'm going to cut it in half. And there it is. Now, if you use a pair of flush cutters, because one side is square and the other one is angled, then what happens a lot of times is some of the plastic gets disappeared from one side of it. So it's not perfect, and you might end up losing a pin, but the guillotine cutters cut them nice and sharp. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to, I got a couple of things. Again, I travel light. In this case, I'm going to show you how you sort of make do with something. So in the case of, here's my 9-volt battery snap. So I'm going to plug those 2 cables in. Now, what I want to do is I want to solder them. So I'm going to actually
solder them into the header.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them a little bit longer because there's not enough. There's too much insulation that goes right down to the connector. So I'm gonna make them about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, I'm pretending Steve's not walking behind me. Okay, I think he's changing a light, so maybe I don't have as much glare. Okay, so I made them about 1/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to plug them in again. Okay, and the reason for that is that now I've got some bare wire sticking up beyond the socket. Okay, now it's going to be hard to see, but there's about 1/16 of an inch.
A second.
There we go. Okay, I'm just trying to see if you can see the actual.
Yep. Here where the camera is. The camera's over here.
Okay, well, that's too close.
Look at the camera, then you can get it in the camera. Yeah, then back up a little bit.
Okay.
Put your hand. Put your hand behind it so that it does focus.
So it helps focus it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Perfect.
Can you see? I'm going to move my hand one way. See, there's a little bit of lead, and then there's the insulation. So I got a little place to go. So what I'm going to do now is these things I don't need
Don't
that.
leave it there.
Okay. Oh, okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to provide a heat sink on these pins because I don't want the pins to heat up very much because they'll melt the plastic. So I'm just going to use a bulldog clip here. Okay. Just so I can clip both of those at the same time. And that's okay. I'm going to move it in a minute because I'm now going to take I'm making sort of like a vise to hold that and provide heat sink to strip that heat away from the pins. So I'll take my solder, and I've got a very, very fine tipped iron, which I normally build kits with. I like a nice pointy iron, and I'm going to go in. I'm going to put my little bubble, just a little bit of dab on there, and lay right on the wire and the socket pin. Just add a little bit of solder. It goes right down into that. I'm going to get a better angle for the next one. Come on. Okay, so both of those pins now are soldered in, and they look like they survived the heat process. And so what I can do now is use a little, that's good, use a little hot glue right there to insulate it again and to provide a strain relief to keep that all in one place. Okay. So having that now, I can plug that little 2-pin socket pin. Right in. So there's my 9-volt battery clip. And so I do the same thing over here with the antenna jack. So what I'm going to do is I've got 2 alligator clips here. That's one thing I have lots. I buy alligator clips and you know, I go to a ham fest, I buy 3 or 4 bags of them because I'm always using them for something. In this case, I'll cut them off. Leave about 1/4 inch. Get those out of the way. Here's my other 2-pin that I cut that in half. So I'll twist them back again. Bring my iron over. Get a little, okay. I'll tin these guys. Okay, so I can put this back for now. I'll go in and put these guys. Let's see, that might be a little bit too long. Yeah. Let's just cut them off just a little bit more. Actually, that was more than 1/4 inch. That's more like 1/4. Okay, plug these guys in. That's the other thing is when you're soldering a lead to put into a socket pin or something, it is actually good to cut it long, tin it, and then cut the end off because a lot of times the end has a tendency to blob up. It's like chess. He kept moving the. Okay, so again, there are my 2 pins in there, and I'm going to. I think I'll go this way this time. Let's see if this works better. Okay. All right, so I've got my 2 leads in there. And again, you can only do this with a really fine tip iron because you got to get right in there. Okay, and you got to do it fast as my motto. Get in there. Oh, I'm winging around this way because I want to get to the back side of this one here. So move that out a little bit so I can. I'm getting a little, okay. I don't know if I solder went in there. I got a little melted. Yep, it's soldered. So there I go. Now I can take this guy and I can plug that into the other side here. And now I can plug it into a connector for an antenna, or I can connect these two up to wires. And there is a antenna and a ground, because there's an antenna and ground on that in case you're just using a long wire.
So yellow is your antenna.
Yellow's antenna and green is ground, as usual. Now, the last one is down here where the headphones plug in at the very end of this socket. Now you notice there's two holes. There's two pads on the ground which actually are the same as those two up above, and you could hardwire your thing in there. On the boards that I actually made on my machine, these are filled with solder because I couldn't protect them. I didn't have any Kapton tape to protect those from the solder, so they will be filled. So you can actually take your solder sucker and open those holes up and then connect the cable to that. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to get I'll show you in the package of parts. In the package of parts, I'm going to get this out of the way now. I don't need that. There is a little inline stereo jack. Now, you can actually take a cheap pair of headphones and cut them off and hardwire them in there, but every time I've tried to do that with a pair of headphones, the wire inside those things is so fine that you never, you can never ever pull them out and get them to work. So I gave up. So I just I'll take and just make I have spools of this stuff laying around. It's always handy when you're working with kits. And so I'll just get myself a little piece of this. And I'll take about maybe 3/8 of an inch. And a little bit. So, same thing. Twist it back together again. Now, I'm not going to tin this one because it might be a little hard to fit through this little fine hole, but I'm going to go right straight through the tip in the ring on this connector. Okay. And again, this is my cheesy vise, this Bulldog. So I'll grab that. And this is just a flashlight, battery flashlight that has a nice, good, strong magnet on the back, and I keep it on my on a piece of metal by my door, and I grab it when I go out to the barn. So I'll just so there's the tip and ring connected, and I'll go to the one in the middle, the taller one, which is the ground. I'm just showing you how, I mean, if you got a vise, by all means use it. I don't travel with the vise in my kit. I usually travel with something a lot lighter and smaller, so Bulldog tips are pretty. So there's the
Yep.
Okay.
It's focused good.
All right, so I'll go back down the other end and unwind it a little bit, even the wires up, and again, make sure it's about 1/4 of an inch or a little bit longer. Again, I am not going to tin this because it's going to be too big to put inside these holes. Now I'm going to take a 4 pin, which would be 0.3 spacing between the first one and the last one pin. Okay, so there's the 4 right there.
There
Okay,
you go.
all right. So I'll put them. Oops, didn't thread all the way. So I'll go to the outside too. Oops, I'm going to have to do some tinning. I have to do some tinning, yeah. Only to stiffen this up, and hopefully just a minute amount of solder will capillary up there and stiffen that in. And now I'm going to cut these off, and I'm going to cut them off at an angle to make like a knife blade. And I'm going to make sure there's no blob of solder on the end. So hopefully. I'm going to cut them back just a little bit more.
I'm going to double check how well the stream looks. I keep getting more pop-ups saying that it's not.
Well,
it's below the bandwidth it wants. But I don't see any bandwidth problems, so we'll see.
well, my white wire goes in there, but you can't really see, but the black wire has a blob on the end, and I'm not able to get that blob down in the hole, so I keep having to cut it back a little bit. So, oh, it went in there that time. So I will get my bulldog clip. You can get smaller bulldog clips too. Okay, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna clean my iron, put just a little bit of solder on the very end, and go. And now the problem is I can't see what I'm doing.
Oh, well, put it to where you can see it.
Well, yeah, I got it.
And I'll figure
I
out
got
the
it pointing
camera.
towards it.
Yep, you put it where you need it to be, and I'll
Hang
figure out
on.
the camera.
Come on, get in there. Okay, let's
No,
raise
you
this.
put it where you is that.
I am gonna have to raise it up a little bit so I can. It's pointed down, which is what the problem is for me. So, okay, I think I can get it from here. Okay, so I'm gonna go in there for the kill. That looks good. Then I'll get the black one. Got it. Okay. Well, that looks pretty good. I'll get this out of the way again. And so now it can't plug in here because there's where are we? I got this big screen of
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. So to plug it in on the back of this connector, I have to cut out the 2 middle ones. So I'm going to cut those 2 pins off. Like that. And now this guy.
Oops. Show that on the thing though, so that we can see.
See, so I've just got
Put your hand behind it so that it will focus it.
How's that? Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, so I just got the 2 on the end. So now I can take this, and one's ground, and one's, I can just now plug that into the socket. Come on. It will go in there. It did. There it is. Boom. Okay. So now I can plug a standard set of headphones into that. And I got my 9-volt battery. And I can plug this to an antenna. Bob's your uncle. And your receivables. you're receiving. Now this will come in handy because at a later date you might need something on another. I mean, that's a tough problem when you've got a no solder kit that you got things from the outside world you got to bring in,
Yeah.
and I mean, I probably could have put a stereo jack on this board somehow, but there wasn't much room, as you can see, and I was in love with that tin, so the tin demanded the circuit. The tin actually created the circuit, and what was feasible. And once you get one of these things, you can use it on all kinds of things. The other thing I wanted to show was on the lead former. Yes, this is 0.4 inches for standard resistors that you're putting in circuits. They typically are 0.4. Lots of other things are 0.3, like diodes. That's on a through-hole circuit. On a no solder circuit, we're primarily interested in these 3 holes in the middle. This is for 2 pins, so that you can, if you've got like a resistor that you're doing I'll go through the whole process. Okay, here's here's the resistor. This is a 22 ohm resistor, and it goes over here towards the audio, and you can see they're all hairpins. So I got to take this and wrap it around, and so it looks like a bobby pin or a hairpin. That's what it's called. Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to put it on here, right on the edge, and I can take and mark it. This is if you're persnickety, okay, and you can just mark it at 1.5 roughly, okay, which I just did. Now I can cut right across both pins, okay, and when I plug that into the board at 22 right here, whoops, I bent it. Okay, at 22, right here, 1 pin. Okay, see, can you see that? It's the body of that thing is sitting right down on the connector, because that's how much room you have right here. This is 1.5, 0.15 inches is the body of the insertion depth of that pin. So if I want to put a capacitor right next to it, let me just get a capacitor out of this kit. Okay. So I can do the same thing. I'll first cut it off long right at the cardboard, and then I can put it on my little solder lead bending. I can put the body right there. I can mark it at 1.5 roughly, or 2, or whatever you want to do it at. Cut it across both leads. And now when I put this is a 0.01, which goes right here. When I put that in there, it sits right down on the socket. See that? So then what you can do is, when you put them all in there, they'll all be the same height. As opposed to this one, which I didn't do because I didn't have one of those little things. It was a late coming. You see the parts are all at different heights.
You keep turning it after you do
that. I mean, they're close, but it could be neater. Okay, right, Steve?
Yeah,
it could be neater.
It can always be neater.
Okay. So, but that's all there is to it. I mean, it's pretty easy to work it. Now, I did have a couple of extra pins in there just in case, but you want to make sure that when you solder here that you've got a very sharp tip, and you tin it very fine. You can't blob any solder there. So cut them long, tin it way out here, and have that thing capillary up, and then keep cutting them shorter and shorter until you get to a point where there's no blob on the end of it, and it will go in there. And then you can, it's very hard to see, but you can see that I've soldered those two pieces of bare wire to the socket pin. And yes, certainly need some hot glue to fill in there and provide the strain relief in the insulation. And that's all there is. There's three little cables, and you're in business. Okay, well, we will take this, even though our live stream didn't work out very well.
Not good enough. You should be looking at the camera, not at the screen.
Yeah, well, anyway, so that's what you need to do. We can build this thing. We're going to build it on Wednesday, right? Wednesday, we're going to start roughly 7:30. 7:30 on Wednesday? Is that what we agreed to? 7:30 to 9?
7:30? Okay.
Or 7 to 9?
7:30.
What was you thinking?
7:30, because that was 4:30 West Coast time.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So 7:30. So
Juneteenth, so it's a federal holiday. People have it off. And maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be working in the kitchen laying down linoleum or supervising, depending upon whether or not I got a linoleum man or not.
Okay.
So anyway,
we've got the live stream up there. We'll double check it and make sure it comes across well. And I'll send you the link so that you can share it out to your email list when you get back.
Okay, we'll do.
We'll record it in case something went wrong with this stream.
All right.
Easy enough. I
might have to do it over again, but I don't want to.
Okay, so let's see. Well, it's the first time I've done the live stream.
Yeah.
We had Charlie do it. Okay.